Hello and welcome to another episode of Walking with Walfinch. We're here at the IFA, the International Franchise Association's annual convention in Las Vegas. The Vegas series, here we go.
Go, go, here we go. Go, go, now here we go. Now, go, go, here we go.
You ain't never ever seen nothing like this.
Go, go, here we go. Go, go, now here we go. Now, go, go, here we go.
You ain't never ever seen nothing like this.
Never have you ever seen something like me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Walking with Walfinch. Today I'm joined by Bill DePaolo, who I think is one of the most giving people in franchising.
I do enjoy it a lot. Thank you for that.
So Bill, you have a number of roles. You're a serial
Yes.
franchisor. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do and who are you?
Well, you're right, Bill DePaolo, and I have been doing franchising now for the better part of 30 years, and I absolutely love it. I love the idea of serving others through the work that we do. And whether that has been being a franchisor, which I've been a franchisor of beginning concepts we literally had no build and we built it to scale. Franchisor for and a C-suite executive for a company we grew from 80 to 250, or a franchisee of brands, or a supplier for brands. I've been on literally all sides of our business, and the addictive part is how do we best serve,
Yeah.
and that is what franchising really is about to me.
And that is it, really, isn't it? You know, it's you were saying something before we started recording around that customer journey
Yep.
being less important than the customers that you've got internally.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that? I think that's super interesting.
We worry so much about the consumer experience, and our consumer, when we talk in general, is always the consumer that's paying us money. And we don't talk about our internal guest, the consumer that is there feeding this enough. And so as franchisees, we're always so worried about how do I market? How do I do this? How do I worry about the market experience of your internal guests.
Yeah.
Because, for example, today, I'm a franchisee for Chicken Salad Chick. I have an employee that had a really bad medical experience, really needed help. I'm having conversations, to show you my text, it's literally this morning, while I am not in my building, we're talking about, okay, what do we need to do in order to take care of her? Let's Instacart her a meal so that she doesn't have to worry about feeding herself today. Let's make sure that she has everything that she needs in order to be able to feel like she's surrounded in warmth by this company, and I want you to lead it, the general manager.
Yeah.
And why do I want the GM to lead it? Because I don't need to be the culture keeper. The people that are within the building that are building our teams, they need to be the culture keepers. I need to clear the road and smooth the path for them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk down that road for them. I want them to be empowered by the culture we create. And that's where everything good happens, because now those same people are so proud to tell me, man, we're running this low percentage in labor and we made this many guests happy. Our overall satisfaction is over this and we did that. That's where they feel empowered, because the brand now lives with them and not just with me, and that builds brands.
I mean, that is very cool, because then they literally own the culture, right? And the culture is not then this sort of CEO founder, and the culture is the people. And it's a really hard thing to migrate from. You know, having run small businesses myself over the years, it's really hard to kind of pass that culture on from my heart to your brain. You know?
Well, it's understanding and having humility for someone else's experience and their lived experience being able to inform your own lived experience, so that it's able to make that much better a culture, one that's actually inclusive of other people's thoughts and ideas. And I find that when we do that, it's like any other great relationship. But my greatest relationship is my faith, but my greatest relationship on earth is my wife. And why are we still together?
Yeah.
Because we may have different individual interests, but the thing that is our common, we are walking down that path together, and we're never going to change.
Yeah.
You can change Like having bad culture is when you change your ideals.
Yeah.
Great culture understands you can change your ideas of how you may do something, but you never compromise on your ideals and why you do that something. So you can change ideas on how to do it, but never compromise ideals as to why. And when you have that instilled in the rest of your team, that's a culture that's going to drive sales. That's a culture that's going to bring growth. That's a culture that's ultimately something that a franchisee always wants. I don't want to live in my stores. I want to live through them.
Yeah, I mean, that is super cool. So when you're talking about passing these ideals on, when you're talking to your team, what is your why?
My way is to actually walk the walk of I am going to be there for you if you can be there for me.
Yeah.
I start with service. I never expect anything from anyone I do not first serve.
Yeah.
So what do? I come in, I talk, like I just took over a store. And currently we're 21.4% same-store sales increase, and it's been a month and a half. How do you do that? I sat down with my team, and the first thing that we started talking about was I wanted to know who they were, and I wanted to understand where they come from, where they came from, and why they're even still here. I said, why are you still here? We don't pay the best. Why are you still here? And they told me why. And so I sought to feed that culture by going in and saying, okay, well, I sought to understand what you feel and what you think and what you see and what you appreciate. Now I'd like to give you a little bit of information as to why I chose to do this so you can be understood by me.
Yeah.
I'm here to find the way to improve your lives through this brand because I bought into this brand because I believe in this brand as a great vehicle to provide us all with what we're looking for. So let's talk about benefits. Let's talk about how we make your schedules easier. Let's talk about how we make your job easier. Broken equipment, let's fix it. Broken systems, let's fix those. Let's attend to those. And those things all were, oh man, this guy actually cares about the things. You know what? I swear on my life, you know what made a huge difference in my staff? This sounds ridiculous. The music.
Really?
They had been listening to the same music on repeat for a year, and it never changed. And no one ever thought, well, this is something that we might want to address, because hearing the same thing, it's like you get stuck in the same pattern.
It's like torture.
It is. That's exactly what they described it like.
Yeah.
So
my first business was a restaurant, and no one ever changed the music, and I was like, guys, what are we putting on here? We went through this month of having the same music, and I literally told the guys I'm gonna shoot myself.
Yes,
this is just
it's maddening.
It's mad.
And so you do a simple thing like not only change the music. Anybody can put on any music and change the music, but I talked with them, and we talked about ways in which we found common ground on music that, hey, I like this, oh, you like this too, that's great, and started building playlists around that.
Wow.
We're talking about building music playlists and saying this is what makes
But
better.
that's super personal, right?
Yes, but those kinds of details, finding out where the true pain point is, that was a pain point.
Yeah.
Another pain point, they hated the fact that no one changed the air conditioning. When they were cold, they were left cold. When it was hot, they were left hot. So I just said to the GM, I said, let's make sure we're paying attention to the temperature every day. Let's check it every day. What do you know? Everybody's like, man, it's so much better. And everybody starts feeling lighter. And when everybody's lighter, everybody's making more sales. Tension does not make sales. Loose people make sales. You gotta be comfortable.
That's free to do, Bill, right?
Very easy, very free. You just have to look. You just have to speak with someone. And if it's something that I found that was one of my largest problems as a person, was I didn't speak with people. I'm even conscious of it talking with you now. I spoke at people a lot, and I didn't really absorb. My unlock for that was breathing.
Really?
I found that when I would say something to someone, and they'd start responding back to me, within 3 to 4 words, I had already taken in a breath.
Yeah.
Why do you hold your breath? Because I've now already formulated the response I had based on 3 words, and everything else they're saying afterwards, I'm not actually listening. I just have my programmed response.
Yeah.
So when I just started breathing, and breathing through listening to someone's conversation, lo and behold, I listened to them better, and I learned more, and I was less self-centered and more us-centered.
Oh,
Breathing.
I love that.
Breathing. But these are simple things. This is not hard stuff.
All businesses are people, but so I'm in home care, or senior care as you guys call it out here, and it's all people, right? It's all care staff, and it's not particularly well paid people as well, unfortunately, as a sector. but they are wonderful people. And actually, one of the ways of kind of winning in this sector is by just making sure that you can retain those people. And this is one of the things I always talk about, like just getting to know your staff.
Yes.
Write them a letter and say thank you, handwritten, and just simple stuff.
Very.
It's, if it's their birthday and you want to give them something, give them a choice. Do they want the cash? Do they want the massage? Whatever it is. And it's really, I think it's listening, as you said.
You made an incredibly salient point on listening, in that you just talked so wonderfully about, hey, they're not the most well-paid people. Who really, if we're all looking fairly at our businesses, who's sitting there saying, man, we are paying the most. We pay the absolute top. And that's your definition of we're successful.
Yeah.
No one says that.
Yeah.
Everyone's success point is finding a culture that everyone can generally align to and driving that culture all the way to success. And that success means, how do I find out why they're even here?
Yeah.
Why are they here?
Yeah.
But if you figure out why they're here, you figure out it's a hell of a lot more than money. No
one sticks around for money, right? Even enterprise level, no one sticks around for money. They stay there because of something else, something deeper that is connecting them.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever taken a job where you took less money, but you were more satisfied with it?
I mean, I'm slightly wrong person to ask in that I've only ever worked for 8 months for someone, so
Yes.
so I've always worked for free.
Yes. Yes.
I've always been under minimum wage because I work for myself.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I know that I have had staff that worked for me where they could have been paid more elsewhere, but they just wanted to work with us, because we were able to fix other things in their life, and I know, we're not huge, right? So if one of my competitors came and offered my team 20% more, hey, you got to think about it.
Yep.
But the reality is can they offer them the same life and the care, the care that you give as an employer? Like with this situation that you're in today with this member of staff, would one of your competitors do that?
No.
And if they wouldn't, does that member of staff want to leave? And I think that's the kind of the real thing, right?
100%. And they very much see your actions, and your actions almost always are not for the person that you're directly speaking with.
Yeah.
It's what gets radiated around in that orbit to everyone else. Everyone starts looking in on that and making judgments on that. So the actions you take with the one, those have to be radiated out, or they're going to be. You just have to be conscious of this better be good.
Yeah.
And so we've had instances where I've had employees that fractured their leg and now they're out. I mean, in the restaurant industry, your body is your business. You can't physically be there. How are you paying bills?
Yeah.
Well, we do 0% interest and zero cost loans for our employees. If you've been an employee for us for more than 6 months, we will lend you up to $1,000. And you can have it drawn back out of your check, no charge, no penalties, no costs, no nothing.
Nice.
That access to that kind of capital is incredibly life-saving to an employee that has an accident. What happens when those things happen? They have no place to turn.
Yeah.
I just had an employee say to me, man, I was just about to put a down payment on the car, and I had to do this. This came up, and I couldn't do it. Well, here's your $1,000.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take it out. Let's pay it over the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that separates good from great, and it's little.
It's always little though, isn't it? But paying attention is massive.
Correct.
And that's really interesting. So I could hear you speak about culture all day long. But so let's take that and think about then what happens with growth. If I'm a new franchisee or a new franchisor, how do I grow my business? What do I need to think about?
Everything is always about people. Unquestionably, it'll always fall back to people, because without people, you can't grow. And it's finding the way that you can make things easier for those people to grow. Whether you're a franchisee like in my case, in my franchise life that I'm currently living, I give some pieces of the pie to the people that are in the building so that they have something that they're working for more than I'm just showing up, making chicken salad today, or I'm making pizza today, or I'm making tacos today. There's got to be something more in it for them. so they want to grow the business. And I'm talking about, like, you can't necessarily do that for each individual line item employee. You can do it for your general managers, and you can grow your businesses through more general manager growth. Those are the culture bearers. Those are the ones that are going to really hold it up for you in your business, and you can incentivize them. So that's one for franchisees.
So what does that look like? I mean, just not necessarily your particular situation, but how much of the pie should you distribute? Is there a number that comes to mind to say, well, I would go,
I don't know. I wouldn't want to give more than somewhere around 10 to 15%. Some people do, and I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. There's many ways to do it, but what I can tell you is what I do. 5%. I'm doing a 5% profit share, and that's on top of whatever it is that they're getting in a bonus program, so that they're able to then, drive towards EBITDA. I want them driving towards EBITDA. I want everyone in the building focused on EBITDA. Because if we're talking about that, then everything else falls in line.
Well, and also everyone's talking about the same thing.
Correct.
Which is great. It's really interesting.
We talk a lot about how, what are basic principles that help someone build their business? Because a lot of these GMs also, they have dreams of their own of owning a bit. I'm one of them. I was a GM. I wanted to own my own business. I wanted somebody to show me. I had to sit outside the door of the corporate offices for the chief financial officer in order to beg her. And God bless, thank God she did. But I had to beg her just to show me through financial statements, things that I didn't learn. There's so many people in our industry that have not had the benefit of going to a really nice school that gave them business courses on how to read financial statements. I mean, people even know, you'll know about the P&L. What do you know about a balance sheet? What do you know about cash flow analysis? And they probably know absolutely nothing. And they say, balance sheet, what is a balance sheet? Taking employees through that and giving them the opportunity to see what we really make should not be a bad thing. It's not for me, and it's done more for my business than it has by keeping it away from them.
That's very nice. I love that. I think that's so powerful. It's very scary and very powerful all at the same time.
Making money is not a problem. The problem is making money and having everyone else go, well, I'm making more money for them, but they don't give me, I haven't gotten a raise in 3 years.
But then that's culture stuff again.
Right.
It's, And so, okay, so that's your franchisee level. And what about franchisor level?
Franchisors have to care more about franchisee EBITDA than they care about anything. Because the minute that you care more about something else, anything else, then everything that you do for franchise acquisition is going to be read as, you just care about sales, you don't care about me. You're selling all around me, and you're affecting my unit level economics, and it doesn't matter to you because you made another franchise sale.
That is wonderful.
They can never think that.
I had Greg Nathan on the show last year, and that was his kind of last point was, if you focus purely on franchising profitability, everything else will fall into place. Everything. And so how do you focus on that? You read the P&Ls on a monthly basis?
You do, and you have to build trust for them to give that to you. Because there's plenty of times where franchisees feel, I don't even know that I should show them these numbers. I've told franchisees, look, I don't care if you put Johnny's motorbike or Sally's pony on the P&L. Just put it below the line. I don't care what you do. Just what we do, do me a favor, let me see that. And let me see it so that I can help you. I'm not trying to hurt you. Like, I don't want to do anything wrong. I want to see your business, and I want to figure out ways that you're doing it that I think you could do better with. That's all.
How can I help you make more money?
How can I help you? And being there is how you help. And this, distant, well, we're in the C-suite, we don't go out in the field, that is garbage. I'm sorry, I did it myself. I went to my franchisees. I am doing things with franchisees right now that I have worked with over the years. I don't even work in those companies anymore. I'm constantly calling them for advice. They're calling me for advice. We're talking through business problems together. These are people I literally have no obligation to, other than that they're my friend. I care about them. And C-suite executives can do that very easily. We can build relationships. We don't have to, keep them at an arm's distance, because if we're doing that, we're probably afraid of their questions. And if we're afraid of their questions, we're probably not doing the right things.
Truly. I mean, that is it. Actually, more often than not, we're just worried about what are we going to hear, right? It's and actually, one of the things I think is really interesting that someone advised me years ago. Actually, a mentor of mine back in the UK, who I think you may know, Simon Mills, but we'll talk about him later. So,
yes.
was anonymously survey your network regularly. And if you can do that and then make decisions around that, alongside profitability, it really helps steer the ship in the right direction.
Yep.
Because, really everything comes back to franchisees making money. If they're making money, they're happy.
Yep.
Everything is calmer when you're making money.
Correct.
But actually, what is the sentiment? I think I'm doing this thing over here, and that's really wonderful. But everyone else is like, hey, that's a huge waste of my time because the market's changed, and this is what's happening in the field. And it gives you that humility to just get that and say, oh, let's do this instead.
Let's listen. Let's hear. You may not, as a franchisor, especially as your system grows, you may not be able to be, as flexible as you once were and change on the turn of a dime. But you still have to, we still have to listen to our franchisees to understand ways in which they can improve our business. I guarantee you, if a franchisor is thinking right, the franchisor is not the end-all be-all of knowledge. Most of the good grows from the ground. And that's our franchisees.
Totally.
Why did you get into franchising if you didn't want to hear from your franchisees? They literally are stewarding your business out in the field. You have to listen to their concerns.
Yeah, truly. I mean, one of the things that we've started doing over the last 12 months is monthly looking at everyone's P&L and then tracking it to say, if you're below this or above this, let's flag both those. Because if you're below this, how do we help you get up? If you're above this, what are you doing that everyone else can copy? Right?
Absolutely.
It's
I want to know that.
I want to get into that.
Yes.
And it's really interesting when you start looking at that and focusing on that. And also it makes the team think more about EBITDA of the franchisees than growing top line, which is great. Top line helps us, right?
Yeah.
But bottom line helps everyone. And I think that's the real piece.
And everyone being aligned around that. Even down to sales. When this is, again, my very small view, but when franchise sales has no more involvement in the process other than the sale, how honest are they really being about that process? Because I'm going to sell something to somebody and I want to know how they're doing a year from now. And I should have some type of incentive tied to that. I want to make sure that operations is doing what they need to do for the person I told them this is how it's going to be. So that there's connection there. Without those connections, it literally makes it where we all talk about this. We've sold the dream, now operations live the nightmare. And that's...
So how do you connect those two things?
Pay. Nothing puts people together more like money. You've got to put their money into it, because if their money isn't into it, then I'm sorry, there's always going to be a way to step back. It's like a chicken or a pig. If you want an egg from a chicken, you can get that chicken to lay the egg and walk away. The chicken still lives in that thing. There's only one way you're getting bacon from a pig. Are you committed, or are you the chicken and you're not really that committed? We cannot give ourselves an out. We got to be in.
That's very nice. And so how do you? I don't understand the crossing here. Is it
we'll
safe to cross?
I'm from New York. We cross all the time whenever we want. That's all we do.
So what is the best way to connect those two things? So when we're talking about pay, what does that mean? A kicker at the end of 12 months?
Yes,
or,
absolutely. Kickers, having portions of their bonus be tied to when you receive it, is when you see in a year that franchisee is profitable. Absolutely. Then you've got everyone in the organization is focused around one goal, making sure franchisees are profitable. That's all that matters.
From the get-go.
Right.
From the friend dev conversations happening before they even come in. That's really nice.
Worrying about money as well, and I know it sounds like when we say profit is all that matters. Yes, but the profit piece can't happen unless we're confident in two things. And this is what the franchisee and the franchisor both need. One, they need to feel that I am doing this to best serve my constituency. I chose Chicken Salad Chick. I didn't choose it because I just said, well, let me flip a coin and throw a dart at a whole bunch of franchise concepts, and I'm just gonna pick it. And that's what we go with. I know my guests, I know my territory, I know my area, I know my people. And I wanted to find a vehicle that I felt spoke to my culture values and spoke to how I would best serve my community. If I felt that a burger joint was going to be that, I'd go do a burger joint. But I've got to find something that absolutely makes me feel I'm serving my community best. So if I worry about that, as a franchisee and a franchisor. And I worry about how do I best empower everyone else that is going to live this to feel part of the result. Those two things, then you can start worrying about now, can we make money with it? Because if we're not worried about that, it always becomes transactional. The experience for the guest becomes transactional, both the internal and the external guest. And when it's transactional, they can transact anywhere. Your employees can transact somewhere else for 50 cents more or $1 raise more.
And that's what often ends up happening in businesses, right? You know, when you lose that whole piece. I think that is so interesting. It's also interesting on how someone should go about trying to buy a franchise, because there might be two businesses in the same sector, but one resonates with you more because of all these items.
Absolutely. If it has the right culture, if it has the right vehicle with which here's a thing. I felt there's a lot of flood to the market of things that are unhealthy for you. But I wanted to be able to find something that, certainly had health aspects to it that I felt that I could consume on a daily basis and feel good about myself. And that product really does that. Plus, it doesn't have a whole lot of competition in the market, so I know that I have somewhat of a unique proposition in that way. It checked off a lot of boxes for me.
That is very cool. And health has become a very important thing to you, I think, you know?
Very much so.
You want to talk to us about your 1,000 days?
Yes, so I challenged myself to something, and in 1,000 days, I did 1,000 workouts in 1,003 days. So I only had 3 days off that I gave myself.
Wowzers!
It was a lot. It was a lot. Working out every day is a lot, but it gave me a lot. One of the things that I felt that I was being selfish with was I wasn't my best self physically.
Yeah.
And that hindered me, that held me back from being my best self for others around me. And so I spent a lot of time really heavily committing to putting my body in a condition where I was able to be that much more responsive for my franchisees, for my wife, for my kids, for my parents, for everyone around me. Every relationship got affected by, and I don't necessarily mean like, hey, you know what, if you're overweight, you're bad. That's just not right. It's just the shape for me. The thing that I needed, that I felt was going to help me be best for my community. And that was being in better responsive shape. The ability to literally wake up earlier. The ability to be there later and respond to their needs at any and every time that I felt I needed to be there for them.
You just have the energy. I mean, you're ridiculously high energy all the time, but there's got to be an energy source, right?
And I expelled it in ways that I couldn't recover from when I was not in the right shape. And so what happened was I looked at a couple different things. One was I went to the doctor and I talked to him about what some of my struggles were, and he goes, hey, I'm gonna make you a bet you snore. And I said, yeah, of course I snore. So I know people say a lot of things about sleep apnea and CPAP machines. Let me tell you, that was a massive unlock for me, because just getting good sleep, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I got energy for days. I feel like a kid. And so it gave me what I needed to, at the end of a day, go into the gym or at the beginning of a day, wake up that hour earlier and go for a walk. Just a walk, jumping rope. I did so much jumping rope and have been still doing so much jumping rope. I love jumping rope. I sweat to the oldies. I love, dude, let me tell you something. This is real talk. Paula Abdul is no longer forever my girl, because her workout hurts. That really, really hurts. She is not forever my girl. Forget it. That is a rough workout video. The Cher video is cake. Come on, that's cake, and she doesn't even really do it. But the Paula Abdul one, she's for real. I'm just telling you.
I'm going to be checking that out. So Bill, I usually wrap these up by asking guests if there was that one actionable item that our listeners could go away and say, this is going to help me reach my goal of 1 million. What would it be?
Go and look in the mirror and ask tough questions. Ask, are you truly in service? If you are not truly in service, you're not going to win. I think every word out of my mouth, every action in my body, and every thought in my mind, if I'm talking with you, doing this right now, I want to give the best that I can give for you. I love the fact that we're getting to talk. It's great. I think it's fun, but it matters more that someone gets something out of it. I want to be in service. Every time I'm talking with my general managers, I'm thinking, what is the best thing that I can do for them? Even telling them telling them really hard things to hear.
Yeah.
It's still me doing best by someone. Telling my children, look, I'm sorry that you feel like algebra is hard, and I'm sorry that you don't like that I'm calling you out for getting a really bad grade. But you need to hear that unless you improve in these things, you're going to fail. And that's being good to someone.
Yeah.
Telling them what they need to hear is being in service and being good to someone. You have to be in service and be good to those around you.
That is wonderful. I think that is such just brilliant advice. I mean, because it hones in all of your senses
Yep.
into a situation. You know, you're learning and you're teaching all the time, right?
Take this mantra and say it to yourself every day. Do not expect anything from anyone you do not first serve. If you don't first serve their needs, why do they have to then serve your own? Why?
That is wonderful. Bill, thank you very much, man. What an absolute pleasure.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. That is phenomenal. Bill DePaolo, you know, he's a total franchising legend. And thank you for sharing today. I've learned so much.
It is an absolute pleasure to do.
Until next time, buddy. Take care.